She's not what you'd expect. She's tough and feisty, but gentle and tender. She makes millions and gives millions to the poor. She cries, she laughs, she teaches, she comforts. This is the Dani Johnson Show.
Hi, I'm Dani Johnson. Welcome to the Dani Johnson Show. Are you of that belief that millennials are lazy? Like, so lazy they're not even employable? I don't know if you saw a video that was floating around social media, but I got to show it to you right now, and then let's have a discussion about it. What are your thoughts about this next generation? Do you think that, that they want more than what they're willing to give? Do you feel like they are entitled? I think I have a little bit of a different opinion about them, but I would love to hear yours, and we're going to discuss after we watch this real quick video. So let's check this out.
Amy, it says you are trained in technology. That's very good. Are you adept at Excel?
No.
PowerPoint?
No.
Publisher?
Not really.
Exactly in what area of technology are you proficient?
Snapchat, Pinterest, Instagram, Vine, Twitter. You know, the big ones.
I'm surprised you didn't say Facebook.
That's for old people, like my parents. That's funny.
Well, Amy, when you're working for me, you have to have those kind of research skills because I'll send you things for you to comb through and get the answers and send them to me. So for that, you got to be really good at technology.
For stuff like that, no problem. I'll just ask Siri.
You'll just ask Siri?
You know, Siri tell me this, Siri find me that. We're all good at getting you the answers.
Tell Siri I want you ready to go at 8 sharp each and every morning.
I don't understand.
What don't you understand?
What you just said.
You don't understand be ready to go?
No. You said 8, right?
Yes.
8 like in the morning 8?
Yes, in the morning.
Yeah. That kind of doesn't work for me. Who gets up at 8?
I do.
I Skype with my French boyfriend in Paris until like 3 in the morning. I don't even get to Starbucks until like 10, where I order my grande chai tea latte, 3 pump skim milk, light water, 2% foam, extra hot but not too hot. So if it's okay, I work best in the morning at 10:45.
Wow. Amy, I don't think we're going to be a good fit.
Yeah. Why are you so negative? I can sense your hostilities, and right now I am not feeling very safe. I've been here for over 5 minutes, and the only nice thing you have said to me was nice resume, which I typed all night for this meeting with you. You've given me no guidance, no validation, no encouragement, no supervision. Is there an HR director somewhere?
HR director?
Yes, I need to speak to someone. I may have to take off today as a mental health day.
Oh my God.
Take the day off. Amy, look at me. You don't work here.
Are you firing me?
Okay, yes.
Oh no, I gotta turn it off. I can't turn it off.
Snapchat, Pinterest.
Stop. Okay, here we go. Okay, well, there you go. But is that really the reality? Have you experienced that? First of all, anyway, of course this video is dramatized. And of course, there sadly are some kids out there that are like this. But I want to know if that's what you've been experiencing. We're going to go over to Barbara from Oklahoma to start off the conversation. Okay, Barbara, what are your thoughts? Is that really how the next generation is?
I experience that on a daily basis.
What?
Yes.
What do you do?
Actually, I'm a real estate agent, but my husband and I own a convenience store, a marina, and an airport.
Yep.
And hiring the millennials has been such a challenge because we are both baby boomers.
Yeah.
And they can't live without their cell phone.
Yeah.
I've seen him throw cell phones in the lake. That's what I've seen. Literally. I told him he had to quit doing that.
Yeah. That might be a good idea to stop throwing their cell phone in the lake. That was good advice.
Oh God. But yeah, they think they can't even take a step without checking it.
Wow. Wow. You know what's so wild is that is not my experience. I have several millennials on our team. In fact, the two who run this show are two millennials. And these young ladies are nothing like what I saw in that video. That's why I was like, whoa, because I don't really have that personal experience. And one of the millennials who actually produces the show, I mean, she was, I don't know, like 17 when she started working here. And was always seen as she often exceeds our expectations. She is hardworking. She's diligent. She's responsible. She's always willing to try new things. You can count on her. She's dependable. She also knows her boundaries. Like, so when she first started working, she's like, I'm not looking for a full-time thing. I can do 30 hours and that was it. And it wasn't until that she got into the television program department, because that's something that she loves. She loves to edit. She loves to produce videos, that she's like, okay, I'm good for 40 hours now. I'll do 40 hours now. So, I mean, she's someone that knew her boundaries, but not somebody that's constantly has her phone in her hand and checking things. I mean, like super, super diligent. She was our camera person for years, also at our events. And then Trisha, who also is a millennial, who is like an amazing writer, incredible with content, incredible thinker, great ideas. Like, I'm so sorry you're having that experience with your millennials, because I don't have that at all, including like Brian Niederhaus. He's our marketing director. His assistant is a millennial. And I mean, this girl is sharp, like sharp, super consistent, amazing with analytics, keeping him organized, keeping time label, helping him manage his team. Like, she's phenomenal. Elena, who started coming to First Steps to Success. I'm naming all women. Isn't this funny? And I think largely because that video had a young woman in it who looks, just as beautiful and wonderful as the millennials we have in our office. But Elena started coming to First Steps when she was 16 years old. This girl is a powerhouse. She's a powerhouse, like super responsible, definitely not on her phone all the time, definitely not entitled, really hardworking. In fact, I ended up investing in this young woman, sending her to Canada to learn a bunch of very intense marketing stuff from this expert in Canada, and had one-on-one training invested into her. And she has stomped this guy. Like, she has exceeded what this guy used to do with creating traffic for our website. She's like blown him out of the water. So when I saw this, I'm like, really? Is this real? Like, does this really happen? Because it's not been my experience. Not at all. Now, there are some millennials that have their phone in their hand too much. But gosh, I'm just trying to think if there might be someone in our office that's like that. But actually, I don't know. I think they would be fired if there was. So I'm sorry. That's terrible.
And I agree with you. They are incredibly sophisticated.
Yes.
And very technology-wise. They are just different than me, Mm-hmm. And I have 5 daughters.
Ooh.
That are in this millennial group.
Wow.
And it's amazing to how they survive sometimes.
What do you mean by that?
Without their phone.
Without their cell phones?
They can't go on vacation unless they've got internet, they've got this, they've got that,
Mm-hmm. But let me ask you a question. Did you set boundaries for the cell phones? Have you explained to them? Let's do it this way. Let me just tell you, Barbara, what I did with my kids. I explained the differences between two populations with my children. That there was 98% of the population who ends up dead or dead broke at the age of 65, dependent on their family, friends, and federal government for their main source of income, and 2% of the population that literally does the opposite of 98%, and they end up financially independent. And one of the ways to prevent yourself from becoming a 98%er is do the exact opposite of what 98% does. So if you look at how 98% lives, so if 98% of the millennials are on their cell phone all the time, well, then you want to do the exact opposite. If the millennials don't want to work and they're lazy, you want to do the opposite. And so I would always use, because I raise millennials just like you. My kids are my kids are 19 to 31 years old now, Barbara. That's how old my kids are. My kids are adults and have kids of their own, but they're all millennials. So nonetheless, I purposely conditioned their minds to see the habits of the masses and to make choices to go in the opposite direction of the masses. And this was about casting a vision for them that they didn't want to be like the masses, but they wanted to be set apart from the masses. And that would ensure them a greater chance of success because the masses are not succeeding. So whatever the video games are, whatever clothing they're into, whatever television they're into, you want to go in the opposite direction as what they are doing. It doesn't mean you don't have them as your friends, but you want to be mindful of the habits that they are forming and where those habits lead to. So for example, if we're not teaching our kids, so obviously in this video, which is dramatized, you have a child whose parents did not teach her honor or respect. In this video, you have parents that did not teach her appropriate boundaries with a cell phone. Parents that did not show her the path of success. They allowed society to raise their daughter. And if you allow society to raise your daughter, who is society? Society is the marketers. The marketers who are telling the parents they're a bad parent if their kid doesn't have a cell phone. Who's telling the kid that doesn't have a cell phone they're nobody unless they do. Telling the kid they need this kind of purse or they need to shop over here and they need to eat out all the time. This is all the marketers who are forming the minds to create bond slave for debt. That's what the marketers have done. Created bond slaves for debt. And I wanted to protect my children from being bond slaves to society, bond slaves to debt, bond slaves to addiction, bond slaves to people, trying to get approval from all the wrong people. And so when I see that video, those were unconscious parents that didn't go, wow, if my kid's on their cell phone all the time and they do not have appropriate boundaries of when to use it and when not to use it, yes, that 18, 19, 20-year-old is going to show up at a job interview with her phone in hand and texting or on Instagram while she's supposed to be conducting an interview. Like, that's a reality, and that does happen. Barbara, thank you so much for sharing your comments on this. Like, it's crazy. And by the way, you might want to be a little bit more selective with who you are hiring for your convenience store. And you might want to maybe change the way the ad is written so that you're attracting the kind of people we've been able to attract here at DaniJohnson.com. Because honestly, the millennials here are amazing. They are absolutely amazing. I don't want to say this, but I'm going to say it. I would probably love it if that's all I had on our entire team. That if it's all I had, why? Creative, resourceful. They have a heartbeat on the market. They understand largely how so many people think. They're incredible people. They are driven by causes. I'm really blessed to have the millennials that we have on our team. And it could be, again, that we've got certain values in our company that does not allow those kind of people to even be a part of it. They're not even going to get hired. So that's the only thing I would say. Thank you so much, Barbara. I appreciate you. We've got Emily also from Colorado. Emily, what about you? What's been your experience with the millennials?
Hi, Dani.
Hi.
Yeah, so I am a millennial. I work as a corporate recruiter.
Really?
Engineering.
Do you want a job?
Yeah.
Do you want a job?
Sure.
We're looking for a recruiter right now. We got a lot of people to hire.
I do all the time. So I interview all generations. So I interview from millennials all the way up to, baby boomers. And I've had some really solid interviews, but also some interviews similar to that video where it's dramatized and you just sit there and you're like, is this really happening? But
No, wait, Emily. So hold on. So you literally, because you're a recruiter for a company, so you're telling me that this video that we showed with this dramatized thing of this girl on her phone and like all the attitude that she was giving the guy that was interviewing her. You literally have experienced that.
I have not experienced it to that extent. I've had phone conversations with preliminary, like phone screens with people that have an entitled mindset.
Tell me what that sounds like. Let me hear what that sounds like.
I work for an engineering firm that is basically it's environmental engineering. So I talk to a lot of scientists, but there's different scientist fields. So someone who's a chemist isn't necessarily going to be finding a job within our company. But they're extremely intelligent, extremely gifted, extremely creative. But if I tell them that they aren't, that they're not qualified for this certain position, it really is a blow to the ego. Of course, I do it tactfully, but...
What do they say?
Someone just graduated from college, and they don't have experience in the field whatsoever, even like an internship. It's not the same industry. Because they have the degree, they think that they're qualified, which, I mean, you are qualified, but just not for that position,
Right.
So I've had people where they just get upset, like, how can I get that experience? And I just tell them politely, I give them a alternative. And I think millennials that might act in that way, they just need someone to come alongside them and, like, offer a different, perspective and, like, help them instead of judging them for their bad behavior because someone in their life didn't help them. The parents didn't, raise them correctly, or they didn't have any mentors. But I think that, if people identify those issues in someone, just kindly point them in a better direction. Like I recommended to this gentleman who, extremely intelligent, great background, recommended a different company, told him to start entry level and move his way up the ladder, and, just offering some advice to people instead of just like judging them for their bad habits.
Yeah. You know what's so interesting as I hear you're a millennial, which means I'm old enough to be your mother. And I have children that are your age. So on that note, do you realize it's so funny that the issue of not having enough experience and can't find a job because of not having any experience, this is not a new thing, and this is not a millennial thing. That was the same when I was a kid, and I'm not a baby boomer, and it was the same when the baby boomers were coming out of college. I never went to college, so that is what it is. But and I started a business. I just started a business, so I, it didn't matter if I had any experience. Either I was going to eat or I wasn't. Really simple. So anyway, so not having experience and not being able to get a job because you don't have experience is not a new problem. That is a normal thing. Every generation goes through that. But you're saying that the entitlement of it, like, what? What do you mean I don't have the experience? I have this degree. You're saying that seems to be a common response from this generation.
It's not a common response. This happened once. I've hired many millennials and, in scientist positions that are, they have the degrees and they are just in the office working to prove themselves. I think that they, what I've seen and how I've seen millennials be successful is if they have great managers that explain expectations, set boundaries, provide recognition, and provide a clear career path for these kids to stay motivated. I know that's what my mentors and managers have done for me.
That's amazing. And you know what? Those kind of managers are far and few. You are very, very blessed. Very, very blessed. I'm proud of you, by the way. You sound very articulate. Can I tell you a secret? I was in a meeting yesterday. I was blown away. I have a friend of mine who ran a very, very successful accounting firm, and he had told us, we had a discussion about hiring and finding a recruiter and all of this kind of stuff because we're on a big hiring. We're trying to add a lot of people as we're on a growth path right now on purpose. And so anyway, this was hilarious. So he tells me he had a large accounting firm. And then prior to owning his own large accounting firm, he also worked for the largest accounting firm, probably the most famous in the whole country, right? And so he says, whenever we would have resumes come in with kids that had a 4.0 in their accounting or finance degree, we shredded those.
What?
Yep.
Wow.
We shredded those. We never even looked at them. They never even made a phone call. We're not even considered if they had a 4.0. They just shredded them.
Huh.
Now check it out. So then our IT guy who worked in major corporate America, okay, worked for huge corporations in IT, he said the same thing. He said the same. He goes, wow, that's so funny. He goes, we did the same exact thing. Whenever somebody had all of the highest certifications for technology, we shredded those. Never even gave them a chance. And I'm like, why? And they said, because those particular people, what we found after doing countless interviews and even hiring a couple of them, they were terrible with people. They possessed no people skills. They possessed no interpersonal skills. They were too smart, and that's what made them dumb and unqualified for the position. Wow. Can you believe that?
I mean, I almost can believe it, but
that's like crazy.
I would agree that
but look,
it's so important to have those skills.
Yes.
Interpersonal skills.
Yes. And when you've got these large corporations who have watched the patterns, right? They've got the data saying, no more. We are not hiring these kids who have the highest certification, or adults, not even the kids. Whoever has these high certifications, I don't even want to talk to them. Whoever has a graduated 4.0 and they graduate with honors and all this stuff, we don't even want to talk to them. We're talking the largest accounting firms in the country.
Huh.
How crazy is that? How crazy is that? Saying, nope, we don't want to work with them. They're terrible to work with. And then you see all these kids that are going, I got to get good grades. I got to get a 4.0. I got to get involved in all this. I got to make my resume look great. And they don't even realize that resume is actually making them look bad. Wowzers, wowzers, wowzers. Right, Emily? Amazing. Anyway, Emily, I'm proud of you. You're a millennial. You're doing a great job. You're allowing yourself, and you're humble enough to be mentored by your manager. You've humbled yourself enough to learn what you have to do in order to succeed. And so in the case that we were just talking about with those kids who were like striving for all these great grades, listen, friend, what's more important is your interpersonal skills. What's more important is your ability to interact with the people you're going to be working with. One of them told me, he goes, the PhDs are like, forget that. Anyone with a PhD, they just shredded it right away. And I'm like, why? He goes, because the guys would come in and talk about their PhD all the time. They had no usefulness. They valued education more than skill, and they didn't have the skill in the area in which we needed it. Wow. So listen to me, friend. How are your people skills? How are your people skills? Because if you actually think the 4.0 and the degree and all that stuff is a guaranteed walking yourself in, forget about it. I just told you right there. From very highly credible people instead of huge corporations that say, nope, not working with you. So be smart. You need to learn the real skills that are going to help you each and every day. The real people skills that are going to help you get promoted. The real people skills where you're going to interact and learn how to motivate people. You have to know how to motivate people. You have to know what makes people tick. You have to know how to solve problems with people. So no matter what field you're going after, you better make sure you're taking courses that are teaching you how to communicate. And I'm not talking about courses in college. No. I'm talking about courses like what? First Steps to Success. First Steps to Success, a 3-day course that teaches you how to solve problems with people and, most importantly, solve yourself, your problems that you bring into the equation, showing you really the intricate secret strategies on how you can succeed even without experience. I've got a perfect story for you. This is crazy. This guy, Merrill, who had no experience applying for a particular job, and in the interview, he knew he had no experience. He was applying for a job that paid $35,000 a year. And this was actually going to be an increase of pay for him. So in the interview, the high-level manager who's interviewing him stops him and says, can you hold on a second? And he brings in a higher-level manager that was in the office. And then that guy starts talking to him. And so now it's like 2 hours in, and they say, can you stay a little bit longer? They end up bringing in a VP, and eventually they brought in the president. So here's a 4-panel, all high-level management, and they stopped and they said, right on the spot, okay? And he learned this, by the way, through Job Domination, which you can find at the website, DaniJohnson.com. So he learned how to do this interview style, totally different than the way everyone else is interviewing. And so in this interview, he learned what their personalities were. He learned what their needs were. He learned what the needs of the company was. He learned how to communicate with these people who are super high level. He learned because at First Step Success, he dealt with all of his insecurities and his junk from his past, got over his fears, and learn some communication skills and motivating other people's skills. And what ended up happening, he got hired on the spot, but not for the job that he was interviewing for. Meryl, are you ready? They said, we're sorry, but we don't believe that we want to hire you for the job that you're applying for. But we would like to create a position for you of training and development of all of our employees. We just want you to teach them what you've been doing with us for the last 4 hours. The pay is $125,000 a year. Are you okay with that? That guy tripled his income before he even started at the company. Like, hello, friend. So what's your excuse? So listen, be careful on what it is that you are striving for and what you think they're looking for on that resume. Because if you cannot communicate effectively, if you are having too much screen time, if you have too much knowledge in areas that really doesn't matter and that really doesn't get the job done, you're in trouble. And I promise you, as an employer for 30 years that I've been employing people, I'm going to tell you right now, the thing that matters most to me personally is how this person is able to communicate with the others that are in the office. Are they a problem solver or are they a problem creator? Do they have the ability to manage themselves? Do they have the ability to communicate in a way that causes people to fall in love with them? Do they bring solutions? Do they bring problems? First Step Success is where you're going to learn how to do that. You can start right here if you're very first time watching us. First Steps to Wealth. Free copy. Download now, DaniJohnson.com. Free copy, First Steps to Wealth, step-by-step some of those communication skills, financial skills that really make a difference, and the strategy on how to be very different on that resume, how to be very different in the workplace so that you can climb. There's simple little strategies that young people are applying and succeeding with. All right, that's it for us. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you have a great rest of the day. Bye.